KPRC 2 News legal analyst Brian Weiss joining us live to break down what we can expect to see in this very high-profile trial. So, Brian, jury selection got underway today. Is there anything we can expect to be complicated, I guess, in the process? And how long can we expect this part of the trial to take?
Well, Lauren, jury selection is quite simply the most important part of any criminal trial, let alone in a case of this magnitude. I think what we're going to see between now and when opening statements are slated for March 29th is a painstaking process where both sides probe the potential bias and prejudice of any prospective juror to determine whether or not they can be fair and impartial. And I think it's important to note that it's not whether any of these prospective jurors have heard or seen or read anything about this case, or even if they have an opinion. It's whether they can set aside what they've heard, seen, or read, and any opinions they may have formed, raise their hand, take an oath, and swear to render a true verdict based on the law they'll get from Judge Peter Cahill and the facts that they'll find.
So, Brian, court cameras captured every moment of today's proceedings. They'll continue to be there in the days ahead. So will that play a role in how these proceedings are held?
You know, Andy, a spoiler alert, I'm a huge fan of cameras in the courtroom. It's how I got my start as a legal analyst for a network known as Court TV back before your bar mitzvah. And I believe that cameras in the courtroom, particularly in this case, are critical because due to COVID restrictions, Judge Cahill has said that only one family member or relative from each side can be present. Viewed against that backdrop, it is critical, not just for family members on both sides, but more importantly, for this nation to get a sense of what's going on, because it's not just that justice is done. Justice has to be seen as being done. Justice has to have the appearance of fairness. And my take, quite simply, guys, is that that camera in the courtroom is the eye that never blinks and is going to make sure that this trial is fair and impartial.
All right, Brian, I also have to ask you, looking at the trial itself, what does the prosecution have to do here to get a conviction?
You know, Lauren, being a police officer as a defendant is the ultimate home field advantage. Unlike most of our clients, they don't have a prior criminal history. They're used to testifying. They come with the inherent credibility of the thin blue line and the fact that the law says with the badge and a gun, they get to use not only force, but deadly force. What the prosecution in Hennepin County will have to do to get a conviction is to convince these 12 jurors beyond a reasonable doubt that Derek Chauvin either knowingly or intentionally or recklessly caused the death of George Floyd. And what's so important about this case, guys, is that the jury's going to be instructed on so many different options, including third-degree murder, which doesn't require a finding of premeditation, knowledge, or intent. Only that Derek Chauvin engaged in conduct that caused the death of George Floyd by engaging in reckless conduct. And that is going to be, I believe, one of the trump cards that the prosecution will have as this case unfolds over the next several weeks and months, guys.
Yeah, and we know this proceeding is supposed to last quite a while. Brian Weiss, we appreciate your perspective and your insight. Thank you so much.